All right, time for another edition, another episode of Survive and Thrive with our pal Joe Convertino Jr. and CH Insurance, and another special guest this week. Joe, good morning. How are you?
Morning, Gomez and Lisa. How are you?
Good.
Great.
Just like we keep saying every week, it's like Groundhog Day. Just another day. Just keep grinding it out. But off we go.
Mid-August. Well, we're happy to have Anthony Marrone from the Marrone Law Firm. I mean, we've had a lot of professionals, and Anthony, welcome. Here's a guy that his business was non-essential, okay, and people still had legal issues, right, during this time. So, Anthony, tell us, some of the little secrets. I know you're kind of a superstar locally with what you're doing and your changed model, but taking your business to where you are today when we non-essential.
Yeah, and thanks for having me, Joe and Gomez and Lisa. Happy to be here. The big joke that we have is that, it hurt a lot of lawyers' feelings when we were told we were non-essential. So what I said to a lot of lawyer friends of mine was, you're not essential, but that doesn't mean you're not important. So,
That's true.
We had the choice back in March. I do a lot of estate planning primarily. We had the choice back in March whether we would retreat and shut down and lay my team off, or kind of double down and go remote and try to help people. And we went completely remote in March through the end of May. We did a lot of webinars when the PPP business loan came out, helped a lot of small businesses kind of navigate the muddy waters of some of the new legislation that came out with the CARES Act. And that was, we were probably busier than we'd been in months, even though we were all working remotely. Now we've somewhat come back to the office in a limited way, and we've changed some of how our model works. But yeah, we were during March, April, May, even though we were non-essential, we were busier than ever.
Well, we're talking to Anthony Marrone from the Marrone Law Firm here with Gomez and Lisa and Joe Convertino Jr. And I'll tell you what, we'll get to a break here and continue on Zoom. We'll record this and people can watch it later on on our Facebook page. But I'm just noticing here before we get to the break that we all share in common CH Insurance, Marrone Law Firm, and Galaxy World Headquarters. We've all been one of Central New York's best places to work from the Business Journal. We've all shared that distinction. Look at that. 3-time champs right here.
Hey.
Look at that. All right, so I'll tell you, we'll continue on Zoom, and you'll be able to catch this on our Facebook page later on in the day. Look at that. Congratulations. I'd forgotten that. You're a CNY best places to work.
We won #1 last year.
Yeah. Oh, really? #1 overall?
In our category, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
I just met with Business Journal. That event's virtually September 16th, I think, so we'll be getting into that.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, back to Anthony, your field of expertise, estate planning, obviously. And what would you say the biggest mistake that people make with regards to their own estate planning?
Just doing nothing. Inertia is by far the biggest mistake people make. It's such a, we know it's such a difficult topic to think about and talk about, so we try to keep it a little light in the office and with some of our marketing. That's why if you find us on social media, the Marrone Law Firm, we're not usually talking about estate planning on social media. We're doing things like our laptop giveaway, which ends today, to kids going back to school. So we try to keep it light because we recognize it's a difficult topic. We're here to help navigate people through it, but by far just deciding to do nothing is the biggest mistake people make.
When my mom passed away about, 12 years ago now, she never thought that she thought my father would have passed away before her. So everything she had planned was predicated on my dad passing away first. And when she passed away, my poor father, he didn't know where anything was.
Right.
He didn't know anything about what she had done. She had a life insurance policy. He had no idea. And there was just, no communication there. But we learned a lot from my mom's passing to prepare for my dad. And, we made sure to, put certain things in family members' names and, put my brothers and sisters and I are all with it mixed in his assets, so they don't, so they're not absorbed and they don't go off into I don't know, where do they go if
La
they're
La
not
Land.
allocated? You know, it's tragic for people sometimes.
And it is a good point. A lot of times it takes tragedy to kind of bring people in to see someone like me. I try to get out in front of that a little bit. So we hosted a webinar a few weeks ago called 4 Things Your Parents Need to Hear, aimed at people that have aging parents, trying to start that conversation in a non-confrontational way with your parents and say, look, you know, we don't want to be behind the 8 ball here if something happens to you or dad. Let's have this conversation now as a family. We'll get it all out on the table and let's plan in advance. So that, you know, a lot of my work is just trying to really open the lines of communication between parents and children. It's kind of, we always joke, my wife's a social worker, and we kind of joke that I do a lot more social work than she actually does. You know, navigating the family dynamics. And then when you add money into the equation, a lot of people get weird about it. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's
Anthony, touch base a little because it was a learning thing for me when we did a few crucial conversations. The health proxy. Now, most of us have a will, and you know, but with kids over 18 and why you're targeting 18 to 30 in some of your niches, but we learned a lot about a health proxy if something were to happen to a child.
Yeah, thanks. So one of the areas that we don't typically do a lot of work in is planning for college, what I call college age kids, so 18 to 30. However, with everything that's going on in the world and the pandemic, if you send your child back to school or they're working in another city and they get sick and can't make medical decisions for themselves, the parent needs to be named as agent on the healthcare proxy, which is a legal document, in order to make medical decisions for their child. So most kids, you know, 20-year-olds don't have that document. So we've been doing a lot more what we call back to campus planning, which is just to do a healthcare proxy so that their parents can actually make medical decisions, God forbid something happens to the kid, and power of attorney so that you can access their bank accounts and pay their, you know, their credit card bills and student loan bills and whatever else they have.
Anthony, have you been through situations where it does get heated like that if a child was in the hospital and couldn't make decisions and doctors really say, I need your health proxy to get approval?
Yeah, so I have been through those decisions in those situations. There is some alternative if the parents agree where they can rely on the adult parents to make a decision under what's called the Family Healthcare Decisions Act, but that's not going to apply in certain situations. So there's certain mental health issues that a lot of young people go through where parents are not allowed to make those mental health decisions. And that's where we end up, someone like me ends up going to court to try to sue the hospital to allow the parent to make those decisions. So without the healthcare proxy, and you don't know, right? All of the planning that someone like me does is for worst case scenario, right? Without a crystal ball, it's impossible to say what's going to happen, but I'm trying to build in for every contingency. And we don't want to have to be in court fighting with the hospital about whether you can make a medical decision for your child.
Anthony, on the lines of elder care and Medicaid, and you hear all kinds of different numbers about you have to have things in place however many years before somebody enters a nursing care facility.
Yep.
What, in the event that that doesn't happen, because they said the worst thing that can do is nothing, and a lot of people don't do anything until it gets to that point. If someone is in that situation and then someone in the house, someone in the family has to go into one of those facilities and nothing's been put in place, is like everything, is it too late? Is there something even at the last minute you can help out with?
Like anything with lawyers, there's a loophole. So there is an opportunity to save at least 1/2 of a person's assets if they've done no advanced planning. It's going to depend on the specific situation. If they're married, you can typically save more of their assets. But even for someone who's done no advanced planning, I can still preserve at least 50% of what they've got. So if they've got, you know, $200,000, I can save at least half of that money. That's not, my advice is not to do nothing, because if you plan in advance, you could say, you know, and the 5-year rule is what we're really looking at. Doing some planning 5 years or more before you needed long-term care, I could protect 100% of your assets. And that's cheaper and just kind of better planning than what we call crisis planning, which is I get the call like I have today, mom's in the nursing home, we didn't do any planning, what do we do?
Well, and with COVID, people went into nursing homes who, maybe thought that would never happen to them just because of the way this is all just so crazy right now. Are you getting any calls about, COVID related hospitalizations and COVID related, nursing care?
Yep, lots.
Lots. Yeah, I
I
bet.
sit on the New York State Bar Association task force for nursing home reform after COVID. So we've had a weekly conference call with other lawyers and health professionals around the state to try to fix the way that the nursing home situation kind of unfolded in the past several months so it doesn't happen again. I get calls every day. Either someone can't see a relative and they need to, or they're trying to get a relative out of a nursing home because the environment is not great. And they can't get the person out of the nursing home. So there's been a lot of moving parts, both by people trying to get out of a nursing home and find alternatives to that kind of care, but also trying to triage and deal with, we have no oversight over what's going on in these facilities. The biggest advice I give to families in normal times is if your loved one's in a nursing home, I don't care if they're in the lowest rated or the highest rated facility, you got to be there. If you're not there, they're not going to get great treatment. But if you're there, even at the facilities that are quote unquote low rated, you'll get better care. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. Well, now we can't go into a nursing home, so there's no squeaky wheels anymore. And who knows what's going on inside some of these facilities. We've seen huge death counts in a lot of these facilities. And the state hasn't even been in to monitor and do their normal control and testing that they would do. The State Department of Health would normally be in a facility multiple times a year. They haven't been able to do that.
Anthony, what's your opinion towards, let's stay with nursing home, long-term care?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a buzzword everybody's hearing. They perceive it as expensive. We do a little bit of it, but it's, what's your opinion of that?
Yeah, it's great if you can afford it. So it is expensive. What happened is a lot of the long-term care insurance companies underpriced this product in the 80s and 90s. So now that people are living longer and living in facilities longer, they're paying out higher claims, which is driving the cost way up. So for folks who can afford it, it's a great alternative to the kind of trust planning that we would do in my office. I found that most of my clients who live in central New York either can't afford it, or if they can, they don't want to pay for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a break. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know, good local Italian boy. What's Anthony Marrone about?
What's Anthony Marrone about? I local guy, CBA guy, went to SU for law school. I teach there now on the side. I live in DeWitt, got a wife and 3 boys, Vinny, Joey, and Nino, 3 good Irish lads. And, spent a lot
What year
of time
did you graduate SU, Anthony?
I graduated the law school in 2009.
Right.
And how many people ask you if you're related to Doug?
Yeah, so that's a great question. A ton of people ask me. I actually live on his former street, so I will sometimes get mail addressed to Douglas Marrone, but no checks from the Buffalo Bills yet.
Son of a lassie. In your office, it's fun to get to look into people's offices while we do Survive and Thrive. Your office is so clean. I've never seen a lawyer's office that was so clean.
Don't worry, all the boxes are over there. Don't worry.
That's like a fake background that people sell.
Background. Yeah, this was a war zone yesterday, so it's just all off camera.
Well, for estate planning and elder care and Medicaid, those are kind of your wheelhouses there. The Marrone Law Firm, place to go to get those questions answered. Anthony, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. This was fun.
Yeah, great job, Anthony. Have a good week, and appreciate everything you're doing locally.
Thanks, Joe. You too.
All right.
Thanks,
hey, Joe.
Anthony.
Yep. We'll see you guys later. Bye.
Good.